Hello everyone and welcome to this week's Game Development Log video diary, and this week I've been continuing on with the world editor as well as fixing a couple of small graphical issues in the game. So let's get straight into it and have a look at the main changes that I've made to the world editor this week. It's been taking a little longer than expected to get the whole world editor system set up, so I haven't added that many features yet, but now that I've got the basics done I should be able to make faster progress over the next couple of weeks. So the first thing that I added is the save and load function, so that you can save any chunk that you're currently working on and you can load up any chunk in the world like this. And if you load a part of the world that has never been edited before and doesn't have a save folder, then it just creates an empty default terrain for you to start working on. Let's now have a look at the features I added for editing entities in the world this week. So if I go to options and click entities, it opens up the entity options, or options seeing as I haven't added many yet. In selection mode, which is what I'm in now, you can click on entities to select them and some options for that entity will appear here on the right. Again, I haven't added much here yet, so at the moment you can only delete the entity, but next week you'll be able to edit any entity in any way that you need to. Let's now go into placement mode, and this allows me to add entities into the world. Up here I'll add some category options for which entities you want to place, and then on the right of the screen here you can see that I've added this spinning wheel of objects that displays the possible entities that you can place. And you can scroll up or down to change which entity you're placing. You can press R and T to rotate, X and C to scale, and you can also use the plus and minus keys to change the texture if the entity uses a texture atlas. And once you're happy you can right click to place the entity. I also fixed a couple of in-game issues this week, mostly to do with lighting. Firstly, particles were never affected by light, which in most cases was fine, but for particles such as these leaves here, it obviously didn't look quite right. So I added a quick lighting calculation in the shader and allowed particles to use it if they so need. On a similar topic, I finally found out the proper way of lighting tricky entities like grass, which are actually just two intersecting quads. If you light them the normal way, the illusion is very quickly broken and the two quads become very apparent, so I had always faked the lighting and just changed their brightness depending on the sun's intensity. And for the most part this worked, but at certain times of the day it didn't look as good as it should, because the lighting of the grass didn't match the lighting of the terrain below it. But now I've changed it so that the grass uses the usual entity lighting calculations, but the only change is that all the normals in the grass model are set to point up, which means that the lighting on the grass is always the same as the lighting on the terrain below it. And finally this week, I wanted to give you guys an idea of the scale of the world that is going to be created for this game. So now that I've got the world editor up and running, I thought I'd quickly create a very rough version of this town here. And this is the result. This is just something that I took half an hour or so doing, so it's not going to be anything like what this town will eventually look like, but I just wanted to be able to visualize the scale of a town like this in the game. It'll probably end up being even bigger as well, because I'll be using proper buildings instead of all these tiny little houses, but this at least gives you some idea of the sort of scale that the towns will be. And that is it for another week. Next week I'll be continuing on with the world editor and hopefully starting to add some options for editing terrains. Don't forget to keep in touch via my Facebook, Twitter and IndieDB pages, links are in the description below. But yeah, thank you guys very much for watching this video. Do subscribe if you haven't already. Have a wonderful week and I will see you all next time.